Welcome to Full Throttle Talk, the podcast where horsepower meets conversation. From supercars to classic legends, high revving tech to motorsport mayhem, we cover it all. Straight from the driver's seat, whether you're a gearhead or racer or just love the thrill of the open road, you're in the right place. Buckle up, hit the gas, and let's go full throttle into today's episode. Welcome back. This is Full Throttle Talk, your favorite weekly automotive podcast. I'm here, of course, with Paul Kramer, Dave Van Epps, and Casey Parkin. We've got a really great show for all of you today. We're talking about some of our normal topics that we like to share with you guys every week, and some things that I think will really get the conversation started. I want to start out by thanking all of you who've taken the time to subscribe to our newsletter, fullthrottletalk.com, and there's a link down below in the show description. It means a lot to us that we're forming such a strong, unified community of fellow car nerds. Hey, look, the fact is that we are car nerds. We can talk about, Jeeps and whatever's coming next for muscle cars and all the other things, but we like what we like, and we're so happy that we're finding a group of folks out there that like also what we like. And also, this is kind of fun too. We're looking at our Apple iTunes stats, and we're picking up listeners pretty much all over the world. Now, remember, we primarily talk about Porsche on this show, but we have listeners at the top, 20 countries. It doesn't matter. Transylvania, Bulgaria, all these.
We're huge in Bulgaria.
Huge. I think
we are.
It was right
Number
behind the
one
United
with a
States.
bullet.
But in Poland, but at the top 20, Germany wasn't on it. I thought that was funny. So here we are talking about Porsches, and the Germans don't like our show, but we'll get there. So we're going to be talking, listener questions, cars you can drive for free in 2026. We're going to have a really nice segment talking about rallies and all the rest of it. So guys, welcome to this week's Full Throttle Talk.
Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah.
Morning.
All right, so let's get rolling. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to the newsletter. And, I need to say this as well, housekeeping thing. If you would like to have an article published in the Full Throttle Talk newsletter that's obviously in alignment with the things we talk about every week, we've had the guy who is the founder of the Carrera 3liter.net organization on Facebook, I think. He's written some articles, sent us some videos, whatever you've got that will enhance the lives of our community members. Please do feel free to send it to me, and we will most likely put it in the newsletter. Maybe we have to do some slight editing so it fits, but other than that, let's roll in. So gentlemen, what did you do in cars this week? Casey, you were first.
So big thing, because I've talked about it here before. I think the 911's fixed. And it is basically the shop that I use that's close to the house. They're called Autosport Systems Group. My buddy Jeff there is an awesome guy. He's been working on 964s since 964s came out, and tested absolutely everything in the car. Basically, you fired the car when it was hot, and then the car would turn off. Very strange. So went through a whole bunch of stuff. What we have found that fixed the issue was unplugging and plugging back in the computer.
Check your connections.
Alt-Delete.
So basically, the assumption is that the computer has been plugged in for 35 years, and perhaps a pin got corroded, something like that. So basically, just unplugging it and plugging it back in, the car has had zero issues. They've been running it every single day, bringing it up to temperature, making sure that everything is good. I was going to go pick it up this afternoon, but I've got some other plans that popped up, so that's not the case. And I had some other stuff to talk about, but that's kind of the biggest thing that happened to me this week. I'm excited to hopefully get a couple of weeks to driving in before I put it up for the winter.
How frequently is it simply a function of unplugging and plugging your DME to get the car to run right? I mean, that seems kind of genius, to be honest with you. That should be like the first go-to.
Well, and actually starting with 84 Carrera, when they went to Motronic, I always tell people, I mean, you hear famously from, 84 through 98, everyone carries a DMA relay because they're known to fail and the car's dead. I've had it happen a couple of times, and I've kind of got freaked out, and then you get to the point where you reach under the seat and you wiggle it, and it's like, presto, it works. We were on a rally. Guy had the same problem. We did that. Turned out inside the DME, because like Casey said, they're 30, 40 years old. One of the pieces in there had just bouncing around on rallies, had come loose. So it's one of those things now I add to my checklist. Like once a year, I'm going to have my mechanic take the DME out, open it, look at it, make sure everything looks okay, clean, maybe spray like dust cleaner out of there, and but it happens. It's happening.
A
Dave
lot
says
of
you're
that
the guy
stuff
at the
will
shop.
fail.
Yeah.
No, well, I was just going to say I had the same thing. We chipped a car, an '84 with a DME, and I was driving it down to Amelia. And on the way back, the car went great all the way down to Amelia. And on the way back, I'd get going, it would get up to temperature, and all of a sudden it would quit. And it kept doing it. And I had to finally have the car towed. But what it turned out to be is the chip that we had inserted to chip the car had a pin with a cold solder on it, and it would just warm up, and when it got warm it would disconnect it and just shut the car off. But I wouldn't
Oof.
be surprised at all in Casey's case if it's just some corrosion on his 964 pins there, and just the act of pulling it out and shoving it back in. It's amazing on these cars how much of that stuff that happens. It really is.
And
And
it reiterates the statement that Paul made in our newsletter that like old car shit, like some people aren't built for it. And I was like, golly, maybe I should consider. I don't know. It really bummed me out. I know that Dave and Tim knew that I was bummed that the car couldn't make it to Luft, but I know that, it's a growing exercise. And the interesting thing is I own significantly older cars and I own new cars. So this and my Land Cruiser are kind of like that mid old car. And it's just something I got to get used to, but I'm really stoked. I pretty much am going to order the full Elephant Racing catalog to redo my suspension over the wintertime. And I'm super stoked on that. Dave, I might see if you have a wholesale account with them, but that's beside the
Do
point.
and I
you do.
might too. I might also, but I would do as the temptation is to everyone goes +3, +4. I've gone through their stuff and their basic street setup is so good.
Yep.
I don't know what the roads are there, but in California, they're bumpy enough that anything more aggressive is just annoying.
Yeah, so
Casey.
I've got Bilstein H or B6s and H&R Sports Springs already, and basically it's just front and rear control arms, spring plate bushings, that kind of stuff is what we're gonna do, and wind it down to probably RS plus like 10 millimeter ride height, and then just let it eat. Can't wait.
So, Casey, we also want to celebrate with you. You're wrapping up selling a 5-car collection. And this has been, am I correct? This is your first year where you've been helping folks sell on, the various auction sites. And this has been a really stellar first year for you doing this. Obviously, you've been in the automotive space forever. I'm just saying with regards to your own gig.
Yeah, so I started. I put it on Instagram yesterday. I started when I was in. My wife and I went on a vacation in St. John. It was 5 months ago. I took that week off the podcast, but I took a notebook with me and wrote down goals. I have a bunch of great clients, family members that I ran these things by. In the business that I'm in, I've got a number of clients that have bought and sold companies for lots of commas. And I basically talked to them about where I should go, and I landed on what I'm doing now. And I set myself a goal, and I was happy to say that the goal's end date was yesterday. It was 5 months from when I was away, and I far exceeded my goal, which was great. It gave me the idea that basically through honesty and transparency, I can make sure that not only the seller of the car has a great experience, but also the buyer of the car, which to me is super important. And that's something that it's super important to me. That's when I was at Porsche, so many of my clients were referral based from that good experience. And it's important. I'd rather always work with referrals than fresh ups. I'm pretty sure everybody here feels that way. But it felt good. And I'm excited to see what's next. I've got a lot of stuff on the docket coming up.
Well, I mean, sales 101, right? And someone who sells anything after usually about 5 years, virtually all of their business is going to come from past clients and their centers of influence. And that's true with jet sales. I've coached the number one Mercedes-Benz salesperson in the guy that used to work at Fletcher Jones. And I personally coached him. All of his business came from his centers of influence and his past clients. So you're going to fast track that. It's not going to take you 5 years. So congratulations. And I want you to talk about that David Brown Mini a little bit further into the show, because I'm absolutely interested in what that is. Dave, what did you do in cars this week?
Had a great week. A couple of events that we had at Sonderwerks. We did a Thursday night Target bar, which I've talked about before. It's a basically a Porsche only gathering and so on. That was great, attended by about 35 cars. Great crowd. The weather was fantastic. I don't think I was, you know, saying more than great event. Sorry, I won't dwell on that one. The other thing we did, we partnered with Haggerty Drivers Club to do a Saturday morning event, Euro event, kind of a Euro concours. Lots of great European stuff that showed up, including some of the cars I have here. The one behind me. There you go, Haggerty
Yeah.
Drivers Club. Nice E30 M3. We had some clown shoe action. I mean, we probably had about 75, 80 cars there. So here's my if for those of you who are able to view this, this is a video I'm throwing up that shows some of the cars that were there on the Saturday morning, and a lot of Porsches for sure, but we had a really big BMW contingent as well. So, and anybody that ever shows up at Sonderwerks always has a good time, only because there's always good stuff to look at, no matter whether or not you're bringing a car or not. I've got probably 30 or 40 cars always here on the lot, so there's something for everybody to take a look at. I did get a chance to drive the GT3 RS a little bit over the weekend. I had my wife in it. Um, she's not a somebody that really enjoys this kind of thing. And I watched her as she was looking over at her phone as we're ripping down the highway and so on. And ultimately, I thought I kind of got one over on her as we were driving about 120, and she kind of busted me on
Allegedly,
it later on.
allegedly.
Allegedly, exactly. In
Mexico or on an
exactly.
island.
By the
Correct.
way, can I give you my marital hack for that?
Sure.
Okay, I'll just cut to it. And I'm not a drug dealer or a doctor or a physician. So
I knew this is where it was
of
going.
course, half
100%.
half a Xanax, brother. I mean,
Okay.
that's it. You gotta dose this. No, I'm not saying roofie. I'm just saying half the Xanax solves a lot of the problems with regards to
Okay.
slow down. I'm gonna puke and all this
And you've been
stuff.
married for how many years?
35 this year.
It all makes sense now.
No, I'm not saying constantly, Paul.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
saying all the
What are
time.
you slipping it in the orange juice, Tim? What are you doing here?
No, I'm
I'll have
just,
to. In a couple of weeks is my parents' 60th wedding anniversary, and maybe this is what their trick is. I don't know. I'll have to ask my
well,
dad.
I told her I wanted to mirror your trip to Germany that you did, right? And she's
Yeah.
like, I could tell right away her level of enthusiasm is like less than zero. And then I kept on bringing it up, and she goes, "Well, I just don't want to go there and have you scare the crap out of me on the Autobahn or whatever." Which that's one of the top three things that somebody does. And I say, "Julie, just bring your friends Annie." And then then now we're booking the trip.
Oh, you've got a nickname. Yeah.
Sandy.
You think
Very
there might
good.
be a problem? No, she's
Okay.
the same prescription she's had for like 3 years, but yeah, in any event. So there's my little marital tip /
Perfect.
let's see if YouTube bans our show for me having talked about drugs.
Look at Casey's expressive reaction.
Yeah, but he knew.
So stoic.
All right, Paul, up to you. What do you got?
I got to meet my childhood hero, and they always say, "Oh, don't meet your hero," and I always say, "Absolutely," because they'll meet up to it. I got to drive the car in the background, which is a true AMG Hammer. Here's another picture of it. It's the one on the left. So my client and good friend Brent has one of the best 90s collections of Porsches. And he like about the same age as me. He went to the Gooding auction, and if you remember back in March, because Casey's client bought the two-door, he bought the four-door, and these are the only true pre-merger AMG 6-liter Hammers that came with a manual transmission. It was funny
That's
when we
crazy that your guy has the other one. That's so funny. Did you tell him that I look after the other one?
Yeah, I did. And he's like, "What
Yeah.
are the odds?" Because I posted something and Casey said, "Oh, I'm managing the manual." And then I go, "Wait a minute, I thought mine was the only one." And I actually didn't know what he was going to drive. And this was sort of a celebration of me being able to drive a manual again. He says, "I'm going to," basically showed up. He goes, his brother-in-law showed up in the Evolution 2, which is another insanely awesome car. I mean, look at that. I mean, imagine that pairing. How awesome is it? But just kind of a quick origin story. there's certain things when you're a teenager that make an automotive impression that's so indelible that it just sticks with you and it never goes away. And one of those, and I mentioned it in our newsletter, I remember distinctly, my dad got Road and Track on Auto Week. The Road and Track would sit in his office at home. I grab it, I would just pour through it, take a day and a half. And when I got to the towards the back, there was this picture that I got to talk to Jeff Swart because I'll bet you he took the picture. They had a red AMG Hammer automatic, which was the press car for the US. It got trounced all over the US. And it's got a picture of the speedometer. You could tell it's a Mercedes. You could see the automatic thing. You could see it's red. The background's blurry, and the needle's pegged at 180 miles per hour, which a four-door sedan, people forget, like this was the OG Autobahn sleeper bomber. BMW wasn't doing that. And the cool thing about AMG were, they had a gentleman's rule in Germany. No one goes over 150 or 155. They just sort of gave it the middle finger and said, we're going to go as fast as you want. When they did that famous test with Roof, what put Roof on the map? Remember when Roof did 211 and they had Koenigsegg and all these, or Koenig and all these other crazy cars? If you look in the background, they had the red AMG Hammer or one of the AMG Hammers. So he shows up and I get to drive it, and you could see it's the beginning of what we experience in AMG today, which is that hot rod. But back in the 80s, BMW, Mercedes was so stoic. They weren't doing these kind of crazy loud. This thing rumbles. It sounds like a Charger. We
Can I ask you
fortunately,
questions? Can I ask you questions about it?
I'm
All
just
right.
excited about it.
So no, it's obviously it's amazing. But what is it? In case you can help me out here too, what are these cars honestly like to drive? Because having driven cars, Mercedes from that generation, they got, I mean, the non-AMG ones got a little bit wonky steering. Okay, they're built like the best cars in the world
Well,
ever.
I mean, you could really tell because I've owned a 500e. The 500e is Mercedes' response to the AMG Hammer using Porsche, and you could just see it was a little buttoned up. It was a little tight. Like I came flying around a corner, and maybe my expectation was low because it's a heavy, big sedan, but it was really athletic. Like it seems like a car that you would want to take on a canyon. It wouldn't be as fast as a Porsche, but I think it'd be really fun. Like the back end would kind of stick out a little bit in a very controlled manner. It just feels rowdy. Like in the horsepower at 380 seems underrated. And by the way, look at this interior. It's all Buffalo. And by the way, just a quick note, this sold at Gooding for $753,000. But the estimate was like was it Casey? 1.2
It's like in the
million?
mid ones. That's
Yeah,
why
and
my
what did
client bought it, because he thought it was a deal.
exactly the same reason my client bought it. And I'm sitting there going, is it a deal? And what do they make? 20 of these AMG
Well,
Hammers?
the thing about it, so a Hammer, I think somebody's going to correct me, but I think it needed to have a couple of the boxes checked from AMG. Like it had to be. Was yours a wide body?
No, not a wide body.
So I think it had to have the 6 liter in it,
Yep.
which was like a 30,000 Deutschmark upgrade or something like that, and a couple other boxes checked. Mine's a wide body car, and I'll tell you that other than hearing about AMG Hammers, like I think it was probably maybe the generation before me, like maybe 10 years. How, Paul, you're
I was
probably
actually,
what,
I was,
10 years older than I am.
I was
Yeah,
like to
I
ask you
have
that.
I never felt the attraction to that car. So when I drove it, like I was like, wow, this is a really expensive car. And it's really put together well. The one that I look after is a two-door and it's a wide body. And the gentleman that owned these cars, my client that I look after his cars, he has procured a number of cars from that collector, and all of his cars are the best cars in the world. Like there's no questions. They're so sorted, completely documented, thoroughly detailed, and just choice. So I know that the car that I drove is right. To echo Paul's sentiment, it is rowdy, but I didn't have that lineage of having that history behind it. So for me, it didn't necessarily blow my hair back, but it is a really awesome car. And anybody that there you go,
Blew my hair
anybody
off.
that like the space that I work out of, there's a Mercedes shop that's nearby, and I drove the car by, and the guy that works at the Mercedes shop lost his mind. Like it was for him, it was the poster car, but just for me,
Right,
it wasn't.
probably.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't. But it is awesome. It has a crazy cult following. People really love them. It just didn't. It just isn't my archetypal. It
Yeah.
doesn't pull
But
my heartstrings.
what's interesting what you're saying is you're in your early 40s. Paul's in his mid 50s. I don't know how I think Dave's like probably in his 20s. I'm not really sure.
33.
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah.
But
Dog years.
the window for when cars are supposed to be like the car, it's really small, right? I mean, I remember the road and tracks. I remember those cars from the 80s. I remember those all that stuff, pomp and circumstance about these special cars. But that was maybe over a 5-year span, maybe a 7-year span. And then the next pretty girl thing came along. And you being more than 10 years younger than us, it's completely different. And I just wonder, I hear you guys talking about $734,000 being a good deal, who's buying that? Who's going to buy it from them?
That's
Maybe another Gen Xer. I don't know. But
I
I
mean,
don't
that's a
know.
good point. And going what to Casey said, I think you had to have this sort of anchor from that period of time. And my anchor was there was nothing like this. Like it's hard for people in Casey's age and younger to understand monster sedans. Like sedans were just boring. And you're reading about this, the drag coefficient of that four door was like 0.25. Doesn't look like it, but I mean that car was heavily engineered to go really fast. And then all of a sudden, the E28 M5 pops up on the scene, the 500E, and I mean, the closest we had to that was the Mercedes. Remember the 6.3 and the 6.9 in the early 70s and late 70s, and those were like iconic. And you go drive one of those, and you're like, what's the big like? What you're experiencing with that? When I've driven a 6.3 or 6.9, which I thought my dad really wanted, and I was like, eh. And I think these cars for myself and maybe Dave and Tim, it was just the origin story of these crazy sedans. That, by the way, CTS, the black wings that are coming out, all of it is tied together to that. And
For
but we're
sure.
just we're detuned that we're just used to 700 horsepower in a sedan.
Well,
Yeah.
here's a little bit of a pivot. So that same era, mid 80s, the other amazing tuner car in the world was the Roof Yellowbird. You
Yep.
know, that appeals to me because everybody's heard the story about how the Mrs. Roof got them to put it in Gran Turismo. So that type of car appealed to me because Turismo came out when I was, what, 14, 15 years old. And then I've got that embedded in me, even though I've always been a Porsche guy, that roof still tugs at my heartstrings.
And here's the funny thing, Casey, is that anchor point for you with Roof. I love the Yellowbird too, because probably like Tim and Dave, I saw the magazine article. I remember the Road and Track where it just said in bold, this yellow car, 211 miles an hour. And you, from something that didn't look like a Lamborghini Countach, it looked kind of pedestrian. It looked like the 911 from the 70s. I just remember, I mean, that was, I would say, seeing the 928 at the LA Auto Show for the first time, the AMG Hammer, a Countach in person at Tommy Lasorda's nephew's house. Long story there, and then the Roof Yellowbird. I mean, those are the four things that just like I would love to have all four of those cars and just I'm done. See ya.
Well, that's actually segment 3, so stay tuned, right? All right. So as far as what I did in cars this week, I helped Julie detail her Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio Giulia. And as Casey's fond of saying, when you're in Puerto Rico, there's not a lot of other driving around opportunities that one might have. I did not drive the Ferrari, and I did spend some time on my sim, but I'm not in the car business, so I live vicariously through these three gentlemen. All right, so let's move on next to automotive news. I'm going to start because this is kind of interesting, and I'm going to tell you why I found this was interesting. I did some research on this thing the best I can. So there's this company, and one of you guys who maybe can pronounce whatever language that is better than me. I put a picture of it. How do we do this? Oh, is that how?
There you go.
Get a
You got it. That was
get a
it.
I'm
post-it note.
learning.
Well done.
Yay.
Look
All
at
right.
that.
So that's an Audi RS6 that a company called I don't know.
It's Pangea, which isn't that like when the Earth was just one landmass? Isn't that what
Hmm.
Pangea is?
Yeah, that
So
was the all the continents
before the
together.
yeah, before the planet like separated into continents, it was Pangea, which was one. today's geography lesson. The more you know. Bing.
All right then. Well, so Pangaea GT, all right. And so what they're doing, and again, I'll go through this relatively quick. It is supposedly over $1 million. Nobody knows for sure. And of course, it's all carbon fiber and it's, bespoke this and fancy that, right? And I put up more pictures, but if you're interested in it, we'll put the notes in the show and you can go look at this yourself. The reason I found it was interesting is because they're making 25 of these. I'm sure it's going to be some super exclusive special thing. And it does feel to me that in that segment of the market, that as it becomes easier, or I'd say special cars from the big manufacturers become less special because they're more ubiquitous, that you're going to see more of these manufacturers singerize. Okay, this is what I found interesting. These newer special cars. So just like, we were just talking about AMG, and I wonder if that's going to be a trend. I wonder if someone's going to take the Audi RS6, performance and, there you go. Or maybe they're going to do it for another special car because there's only a handful of cars that enthusiasts all will agree are truly special cars that 10 years, 20 years from now, people will like, whether that's one of them or not. That's a matter of opinion. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is going to start?
Well, the singerizing thing has been happening for retro cars like Alphaholics and things like that.
Old cars,
which making old cars usable for today. I was really excited to see it was an estate or a wagon, because it looks bitchin'. I love the roof hood, the roof scoop. But the thing is, new Audis just sort of all these new luxury like cars like that just tank in value so quickly. Is that why they're doing it? Or I don't know. I think they're making 25 because they're hoping that's all they can sell 25. I don't think they're gonna. That's kind
It's
of
a lot
fly.
of money though. So, but companies have been doing this for a long, long time, right? I mean, look at even just roofs that we're just talking about. I
Or
mean, they're taking
AMG.
modern cars or AMG or any of these other ones. I think this is just another one grabbing one of these cars and trying to make it even ultra hyper exclusive and expensive. And because I'm sure that the difference in performance, while horsepower will be probably up, I'm sure the handling and so on isn't going to be markedly different. I mean, it may be. They may argue with me about that, but it's $1 million RS6 is a lot of money for
Is
an
that how
Audi.
much they're selling it for? It's $1 million.
So it's 1 million, supposedly starting at €1 million, which would be about 1,250,000 US. Then I read someplace else, I had AI research this for me. It was supposedly over €2 million.
Sounds like money
Who's the buyer?
laundering. I
There you
mean,
go,
it's
Casey.
like
Sure.
Mansory, it's like Mansory or something like that, you know?
Well, okay, so but I'm just I'm intellectualizing about if they could sell 25 of those at that price point, that's going to open the door for a whole lot more of people to start these little, companies, especially with 3D printing and carbon fiber becoming somewhat easy to manufacture in China. So who knows? I'm
I
All right,
just
mean,
you guys ready for a snarky Casey comment?
yes.
please.
So the reason why Tim brought this up is he's hoping that this company will be huge and will start buying up all of the RS6s like Singer did with 964s so he can get back some of that equity that he lost in his RS6.
That is not too far from the truth.
Hot take.
Hot take. Yeah, ours is gone. Ours is a 2021, 130 to probably 90, I'm guessing.
It's an awesome car. Enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Can
No, thank
can
you.
one of our editors, when Casey has his snarkiness, like have some kind of music cue, maybe a little
Explosion in
thing
the
like a
background.
stamp that goes Casey, like dun dun dun, Casey's snarky point.
All right, I'm
I would
done.
Snark.
love
Go
that.
ahead. Sorry.
Dramatic.
All right. Well, so anyway, that's what I found to be most interesting. There wasn't really a lot of interesting automotive news this week. Well, let's see what you guys have to offer. Casey, you are next.
Okay, so they just announced the new Cayenne Electric like an hour ago, but I don't care. So we're going to talk about. I made a comment the other day about how I don't watch new car reviews because I'm not super interested. But I will tell you that on the Haggerty YouTube channel, possibly the best video I have ever seen regarding cars online came out. Henry Catchpole did a deep dive into the history of Dallara, and he also reviewed the new Dallara car that they have built, which is insane. So I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but Dallara is a chassis manufacturer. They have built some of the most incredible cars on earth, including the Ferrari that has won Le Mans the last 3 times. The Maserati MC20, like they've super super cool company. I definitely recommend watching the video, but they put together a 200,000 euro car that's a carbon fiber monocoque that looks kind of like a fighter jet that has a Ford EcoBoost motor in it, and it's just insane. And I've never wanted a new car more than that car after watching that video. I really think like the amount of sense of occasion in this thing is insane. So
Wait, is that what's
Casey,
behind you? Is
no,
that
that's a so Dallara also built this. My client owns this car. That's the actually I don't know if that's the exact one or not, but that's a Cadillac DPI. My client owns the 2019 Daytona winner Cadillac DPI car, but Dallara also built that chassis. So it's a really so check out the video. It's insane. Kali, where they drove it in Italy looked awesome. It's just really, really cool. So after you finish listening to the podcast, go check it out on the Haggerty YouTube channel.
who's doing better videos than Haggerty right now, by the way?
It's so good. And Henry is awesome. Jason's great. There's that they do a series now called Driveway Finds, which I love as well. That's a great series. They really have it knocked out of the park.
I'm definitely going to watch that. Thanks for that tip. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Dallara,
Definitely.
isn't it a British company? Am I
No,
wrong?
they're Italian.
Italian. Okay. And their core business has been making race car chassis in essence, correct? Yeah.
Yep, and doing a whole lot of they go deep into it in the video. It's awesome.
Great. I'm gonna
so
watch
good.
it.
So Casey, you should set the new goal for November, what is it? 19th,
26.
26, you'll have a Dallara, what you just described.
Would
Oh,
you
I
buy
just want
one, Casey?
I just want my 964 to run, man. That's all I care about. No,
I think that one's an easy. That one's a layup.
no, I appreciate expensive cars. It'd never be homologated for United States use, but I'm happy with my 911.
Casey,
if it
you do
runs.
have an expensive car. A 964 is an expensive car.
Well, it's expensive now because I had to double my initial investment in making it run. But anyway, and now it runs.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Dave, you're up next. We're going to put Paul with his gloomy news last. Since I tried to talk him out of doing it like 5 times. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, that'll be good. This is interesting. We have not talked about this car yet, or this SUV / truck and so on. But Scout Motors, which is part of VW Group, obviously, so near and dear to our hearts, of course, they announced this week that they were opening a headquarters here in the Charlotte area, which I thought was, wow, that's kind of cool. And that news in of itself wasn't all that great. Meaning, okay, that's great for the Charlotte community. These cars are going to be built down in South Carolina, so they needed a place for the corporate headquarters. What did catch my attention, though, is they're going to hire about 1,200 people. They're moving 350 or so down from Virginia down to this new headquarters, which is just outside the city center in an area that's really developing around here. But that the average employee salary was going to be $150,000 times 1,200 employees. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a big number for this area. If you're literally going to bring in 1,200 employees and that's the average salary. Now, I don't know if that'll turn out to be true, but it's mostly finance guys, sales guys, that sort of stuff, right? So, Paul, or any of you guys looked into this car, looked at it? I mean, I think it comes out next year after and it's supposed to have some kind of combo hybrid, an onboard electrical gas powered generator that will allow it to get 500 miles of range, I think.
I mean, it's a cool idea. It's sort of like if you look at old like Caterpillar and land moving equipment, those are electric powered wheels with a giant diesel motor creating energy. They can't have axles and drivetrain. So I think it's the same idea where you have a ICE generator that's powering electric motor, which is, I mean, 50 years from now, that may seem kind of weird, but for now, and I don't know if it was because Scout was going to make that all electric and they scrambled and they said, ooh, this isn't a good time for an all electric. I don't know what.
You can buy it both ways. You can buy it all electric with a 300 and some odd mile range, or you buy it with this extended range pack, which adds the electric motor or generator.
What
then give the
markets
car another 200 miles.
is it being built? So it's being built here. So it's going to be a US focused thing. Is it in other markets as well?
I don't know about where it's shipping worldwide, but $60,000 is supposed to be the starting price for both this and the pickup truck that's based on it. It's obviously that cool kind of retro, everybody loved the
Yeah.
Scout back in the 60s through the eight through 80, I think is when they stopped making them. There's people that are redoing these cars
So
and
they're
they
going to
were kind of
compete
the
against they're going to compete against the Rivian.
sure.
I think they're a
I
lot.
mean,
That Rivian is a lot more expensive. No.
I think it's in
Yeah,
that same price range.
I
I
think
mean,
no, I
when they
think you're
say
right, Tim.
starting
They're
at 60
probably
though,
I think they're
go ahead, Paul, I'm
10%,
sorry.
15% more maybe. And
Yeah.
maybe that's their competitive edge is one, we have this ICE generator and range, and two, we're going to be a little bit lower price point. The Rivians will probably be performance-wise much higher level.
I like the way this looks better than the Rivian though.
I do too.
Yeah. Cool. And I think it's pretty incredible. I'm just curious, South Carolina, where they're going to be building these, is it an all new manufacturing facility?
Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Blythewood, South Carolina. So South Carolina's got a lot of action on automotive manufacture down there for sure. So
What do
I'm
you
sure that's one
think?
of the reasons they picked it.
Would you guys be surprised if all of a sudden, since it's a Volkswagen factory, you start hearing about, looks like they're going to be building Porsche Utes there too? Would you guys be surprised?
I would not be
Well,
surprised if Macans start getting that. That seems like the low hanging fruit is to build a Macan there for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
And by
where do
the
they
way,
build?
Dave, all these salaries, they're going to be going over the border and start building hot rod Porsches with you. So you should be in good
yeah.
shape.
Or,
Uh-oh.
or he's going
I
to have
gotta
to
watch
pay
out.
more.
That's a lot of money though. I mean, seriously, and for 1,200 people, that's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, you're talking about average, not median, right? So how much of that is actually going to the
Yeah,
top?
that's
So
true.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah, one guy making $10 million and the rest are making
but
65.
it tells me in your particular area, that's where, or in that Charlotte area, that's where all the engineering is going to be happening, right? Those are
Yep.
the guys that are going to get most of the money. All right,
Yep.
go ahead, Paul. Let's hear it.
This is actually happy news. There's one less YouTuber to deal with and one less Ferrari on the road. No, just kidding. I feel bad for any kind of car getting caught on fire, but very, and I'll keep it very light and quick. This is a YouTuber, Whistling Dixie. He's kind of known for buying exotic, expensive cars and doing stupid, horrible things with them for clicks. This was a Ferrari. I forgot which one it was he bought. Tim. Let's see.
I'm
It's a
not going to
Ferrari
help you.
F8. It's a Ferrari F8 Tributo. He bought it just to supposedly, based on the source, the drive, to literally destroy. And he was racing through some kind of cornfield. It caught on fire. Big surprise. And as a result, if you look closely, he's got a Montana plate. It caught the eye of the tax people in Tennessee. They made it very public, arresting. Now, here's the thing is, and I kind of raise an eyebrow to that because he has set up sort of fake arrests in other states to get post on his Instagram and his social media and get clicks. He was booked. He does have a mugshot, but it's not only all over his Instagram and social media pages, it's also on the police in Tennessee and their social media pages. So yes, he got arrested. Yes, he's probably going to get fined. I think they're talking $400,000.
No, no, no,
But
no, no, no. It was taxes on basically the purchase price. So the amount of
no,
money
but there's also fines on top of that for late
it's
and
Tennessee, not California. Like I
I
said, it's not a
know.
good topic.
So the point is, maybe they'll burn one less Ferrari. Maybe they'll be a little more careful or just put no plate on it. I don't know what. But anyway, I'm keeping it light for you, Tim. I won't get into the California and the Montana LLC.
What a cool collab, you know? That guy in the state getting their Instagram hits up. All right, next
Yeah.
segment. Let's go.
Is that light enough,
Why,
Tim? Was that
Paul,
light enough for you?
Casey made it perfect, but why do we not freaking see that? It's a collaboration, of
It
course.
is. It's
Dude,
100% a collaboration.
what kind of products are they selling during these press releases and on their videos? I mean,
Hats.
hats,
Hats.
The hats and
I can see.
Carhartts.
That's
I
in
mean,
as the
can't you
sponsor.
see Blip Shift? Like, there's your new T-shirt for Blip Shift.
Done.
oh my gosh, let's get the hell off this topic, honestly. I do, but I won't. I want to talk about what's happening to the small dealers in California with what you guys are having to go through because it's really tragic. But truthfully, I don't know how to build momentum after that because it's too sad. I
Well,
mean,
I could tell you right now that there's the CDTFA, California Department of Tax and Fees Administration, is going after 500 small dealers, not the auto nations, not the the CarMaxes, none of the big ones. They're going after small dealers like ourselves, 500 of them, which probably makes up over 25% of the small dealers in our state, for 1,500 cars that they think are registered out of state but didn't leave the state. And
Let me explain it just really briefly, okay? So if Paul sells a car to a California resident, and there is not proof that the car got shipped out of state, be it to Montana or any other place, then they're going after, tell me if I'm wrong, they're holding the dealer accountable for not having charged the sales tax. They're going after the dealer who sold the car, even though the owner took title, took the whole thing. Says, Paul, look, I'm not registering the car here. I've got a ranch in Montana. I'm going to register it in Montana. Paul sells the car. Paul does the paperwork. Everything's done correctly. Money is received. Everybody's happy. But because the car ended up living in California, somehow that's Paul's. I don't know how he was supposed to freaking know that. And then what the state is doing, because very rarely are they actually able to do anything against the person with the Montana LLC. It's virtually, like less than what was it, Paul? A 1 in 2,000 chance that you're going to have any probability of any problems with any of these states that are running these headlines about going after people with Montana LLCs. There's an article in the newsletter about it. But what breaks my heart, and I think all of you guys will understand, is they're holding small dealerships, small business owners like Paul accountable to something that he has no control over ever. And it makes no sense.
And I explain it like this. When you're a kid and let's say you've never played Monopoly and you're playing Monopoly with your friend for the first time who knows the game. Imagine, because he knows you don't know the game and it's your first time, he just keeps changing the rules as you play along. You go, oh, I landed here. Like, not quite. You think you landed there, but you actually, when you land on Boardwalk, you got to move back 8 spaces and pay me $500. And essentially, when we started the business, it said you had to collect a bill of lading showing that the car left the state. Great. We collect bill of ladings. The car left the state, went to Arizona, Nevada, wherever. Then they said, well, no, you have to get the MC number, the motor carrier number, and the DOT number, and verify that that truck picking up the car is licensed and bonded to transport vehicles to other states. Fine, I have to get that. Now they're saying that when we sell a car to someone out of state, we have to verify that they don't have a California's driver's license. And now, as you know, many of our clients, and especially ones we ship out of state, have houses all over. They have houses in 5, 10 different states. Their cars are legitimately moving all over the country. Like, okay, I want the car to be in Scottsdale for January. Okay, I want it to be in Seattle for, August, whatever it is. And then it may end up in California because it's at a repair shop that they like to use. And they really are these transient vehicles. So if they don't have a driver's license out of state, I have to get a copy of the driver's license and then sign this form proving. But here's the thing: is you get one of these people from the tax people, and they're all rookies. And this one guy says, "Oh, you have to have the truck driver and the owner, when they take delivery, notarize that they are actually out of state. Go to somewhere where they're going to stamp and show they're out of state." I go, most of my clients aren't even around. They're not even in state when the car gets delivered, goes to the shop. And can you imagine getting a truck driver to stop at a UPS store to notarize something with their 18-wheeler?
They're going after the small dealers for what they perceive the unpaid sales tax would have been that should have been paid by the customer. That's really the bottom line.
Yep,
And small dealers selling less than 100 cars or 200 cars per year, you guys don't have that kind of freaking money. It's ridiculous. So what this also ultimately is essentially a bullying tactic to get you guys to settle, which is crazy. So Dave, Casey, you guys are in the business. Have you guys ever heard of anything this draconian?
No.
I think that the California scenario is extreme, as it often is in California, right? I mean, it's obviously a big state, and they're looking at it as lost revenue, and they're looking for all the revenue they can get. I don't know. I haven't heard anything that draconian here in North Carolina, and
Oh,
it's not. I've got no notices of such thing from the
I
the
haven't heard
DMV
North
here.
Carolina or even Maryland, but the two other states, and really what sparked it was Utah is gotten really even worse, and Illinois, when basically before you're allowed to register the vehicle or sell it, you have to go through what I just explained before the sale, which could just kill the buyer right off the bat.
Well,
So
I do
yeah.
see I see, when you're looking at cars like we all do, depending on if you're looking at a dealer, I'll definitely see some notes at the bottom, disclaimers of late, depending on where that car is located, saying no Montana,
Well, I mean, so
Yeah.
so Paul, I take back what I said about this being a crappy thing to talk about, because the reality of it is it was a good thing to talk about. Because what if someone's about to do business and buy a car in California and they're being put through this paper grinder and not understanding what the hell's going on? So if you're in the situation and you're wanting to buy a car from a dealer in California, understand that they got no choice. They're just trying to survive. And so, I mean, again, I'm sorry that you guys are going through that. Truthfully, it breaks my heart.
And by the way, just a helpful tip: if you're in California and you like cars like us, and you have, let's say, 5 to 10 or more toys, and having 5 toys is not hard, and they don't have to be expensive. You could have a right-hand drive JDM thing. You could have, a GTI or whatever. You might just look at getting a wholesale dealer's license, because that is the one last loophole left for car people.
Let's move
Paul,
on.
they're listening. They're going to close that. They're going to close that loophole soon now, Paul.
We're not that big.
Full Throttle Talk's
So
doing
true.
a collab with
Department
California's
of Revenue for California.
Department of
Tax.
yeah, something or other.
Well, if they want to sponsor the show, I'm sure that you guys probably wouldn't put much of a fight. All right, let's move on. Let's go to listener questions. I think we covered everything, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
Yep.
All right, let's go up to, oh, by the way, if you've not yet subscribed to the newsletter, we're referring constantly to the articles that we've written in the newsletter. Make sure you subscribe to fullthrottletalk.com. The link is down below. By the way, it's free too. So there you go. All right, listener questions. Oh, Dave, should we continue to offer the free sticker for everyone that subscribes?
Let's take a pause. Let's take a pause this week. I'm trying to. We got to get more envelopes. We got to get more stickers. I'm running out. My supply's running out here.
No,
so.
Actually, Tim, the newsletter is free for now. Subscribe now before there's a paywall on the newsletter.
Oh, a little FOMO there. Why didn't I think of that one too? Man, I'm really falling behind today. Time of year. All right, let's move on to segment 3, listener questions and comments. And this is something we've had it on the docket for, I believe, 2 weeks in a row. Really fun topic. And I'm hoping that Casey's now, he's really, look at him. Bro is ready to pounce. Bring it on, bitches. All right. We happen to have Porsche Club of America's go-to expert on 997s. And so here's the question, and we're going to be talking about 997.1 versus 997.2. And I'm just going to read this as I cut and pasted it. What about 997 versus 997.1.2? This topic was suggested by a listener, especially since we're getting ready to bring an this is Casey, I think, an 05 997.1 with factory replacement engine to market. I am tired of this is definitely Paul. I am tired of 997.2 manual hype and the values that reflect it. It's like a modern debate of the G50 Carrera versus the Carrera and the SCs. This is not my wheelhouse, so I'm just going to sit back and shut up. Casey gets to go first since he is the expert, and see if Paul can add anything to it. And of course, Dave.
So at the end of the day, 997 second gen cars are more reliable than 997 first gen cars. They have less moving parts. They have less issues in the long run. They are more modern vehicles. So that is why 997 second gen cars will always be worth more than 997 first gen cars, especially because when those cars came out in the United States was in a bad spot in 2008, 9, and 10. So the majority of those vehicles got sent to emerging markets. So I personally enjoy the power band and noise of a first gen 997 car as opposed to a second gen 997 car. But when you're selling a car, the goal is, when you're selling anything, the goal is to remove objection. The less objection you have, the more likely someone would buy whatever you're selling. And if you remove things like IMS bearings and bore scoring, which is more prevalent in first generation cars than second generation cars, bore scoring, that is, because second generation cars do not have IMS bearings, this second generation car will always be worth more. Does that mean it's a better car? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think though, Casey? What do you think? I mean, honestly, having literally sold these things new, if you had,
now that I get comments and questions from people in the Porsche Club of America that have issues with their cars, and unfortunately, it's like being on the internet where the only people that ever talk about things on the internet are either super happy or super pissed. I get a lot of super pissed because I got a one the other day that said, I read all this stuff and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think I'm going to buy a water-cooled 911 because I read all this stuff on the internet. And I've seen things where people with aftermarket IMS bearings, the engines still blow up and those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's an older car. It's
Yep.
all comes down to the person that owned it before you. It all comes down with the maintenance that was provided on the vehicle. And what I tell everybody is make sure you do a thorough pre-purchase inspection to make sure that the car that you are buying is to your expectations. And it's going to cost you $1,000 to have somebody bore scope a motor and pull the plugs out of it. But if you want peace of mind, that's what you do, and change your oil twice as often as Porsche suggested.
So you're focusing on all the right things, but the question that the listener may have had, or I mean, I know Paul wrote this, but is the driving experience and the actual like ownership experience, how would that differ?
Yeah. And by the way, thanks to Tim Edwards for the thing. And it sort of sparked by this 2005 Polar Silver paint to sample 997.1 that early in its life, it had the serviceable IMS bearing. It failed under warranty and it got the newest upgraded motor, which has the non-serviceable IMS bearing. Now, here's the challenge is I think a lot of people have been, I'm going to use it, bring a trailered as a verb because they start reading this stuff and they don't even know what they're talking about. They're just going IMS, RMS, LNN. I mean, just throwing things out there they don't know about. And and to kind of dovetail into what Casey said, these are old cars. These are 20-year-old cars now. 15 to 20-year-old cars, a lot of the things that mattered when new are almost irrelevant because now it depends on how they lived, where they lived, the failure rate. You know, we hear things like bore scoring is more common in areas with big temperature swings, people who use the wrong bad gas or the wrong oil. And this goes back to what Casey said. You got to get a really good inspection. Going back to what Tim was talking about, the 997.1s are more fun to drive. And the 997.2, the values are tied into it's the perfect supply and demand. Everyone's afraid of the point ones because of these serviceable things and they're going to be expensive.
Paul, what's the price difference? Casey and Dave,
I'm talking, I would say if you had a apples to apples, a C2S manual coupe, you're probably talking 20 to 35% for the same thing as a point two.
Give me a dollar amount.
So like this one in the background, this is a 60,000 mile engine replaced paint to sample kind of car. It's going to be in the high 50s. If this was exactly the same, but a point two, you know, let's just say it was a silver point two with 60,000 miles, instead of high 50s, it might be in the high 70s. And
So
the
I would tell you, Paul, that if you had a .2 paint to sample Polar Silver car with a stick, that'd be $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. And here's the irony is the Delta is enough to not only rebuild that point one motor to be way more reliable than the point two, but also more fun because what the one thing we haven't really talked about is the point two are direct fuel injection motors, DFI. We've seen Volkswagen Group, other products from Volkswagen Group and Audi failing, having DFI issues. I kind of wonder when the DFI issues that are in other cars are going to wake up and show up in Porsches. Now, people say, oh, that doesn't show up in the point twos because they're not daily driven like other cars. The boxer style motor isn't conducive to having those failures. We don't know yet. I mean, and comparing it back in the day, everyone wanted a G50 Carrera because the transmissions were more robust. Well, that robust transmission was heavy and they made them less fun to drive than an earlier Carrera and an SC. And now that they're 40-year-old cars, and Dave can count this, we're finding all kinds of stuff. That was the period where Porsche was going through austerity. They were putting Schmidt pistons in there. They cut so many corners on the G50s that when I looked at just my data points of maybe 500 cars, you know, SCs and Carreras we sold.
G50, when you're saying G50, just so I'm clear, you're not just referring to the transmission. You're referring to the generation of the cars.
Generation 87 through 89 911s, the old school 911s.
Right.
And it's kind of like the point two. But they were heralded because they fixed this transmission problem. You back out 30, 40 years and you're going, well, great, but those transmissions are 2x to fix because now they're old. And oh, and on top of that, they're not as fun to drive because they're heavy
Car's heavier.
and they just and then then you add to the fact that Porsche was going out of business, so they cut every corner. Paint quality was worse. The vendors weren't supplying parts. They were putting different pistons and cylinders in.
Wasn't the 915 and previous actually made by Porsche, or am I wrong about that?
Yes.
Porsche
Yes,
made,
that's
well,
correct.
yes and no. Porsche made the 915. The G50, they outsourced the
Right.
synchro mesh and stuff to Borg Warner.
That's
So
what
it was still kind of like a partnership. But the reason it was it was two things. It test drove well because it had a hydraulic clutch and it wasn't the old school kind of thing. And the transmission, you could just shift like an idiot and wouldn't grind. So
It's
you could
easier
be
to
lazy.
drive for sure.
Easier to
Yeah, I
drive.
mean,
Like I say, it test drives well. So
yeah.
now we're looking at the 997.2s, which by the way, because like Casey mentioned, we're going through recession. There was less people buying luxury goods. They made less point twos than point ones for our market. Then on top of that, the PDK was the new darling. So everyone was ordering PDK. So I was looking at just as many statistics as I could. And I would say manual coupes, point ones to point twos, we're talking probably maybe 30% compared to the other point twos. So for every 100.1s, maybe 30 point twos were manual coupes.
Well,
So it was
let me ask you guys a question. So if you have to choose between a 997.2 manual transmission, non-PTS paint, or a 991.1, what would you choose?
991.1.
Casey, you too?
So I don't, as I've mentioned on here before, I'm not a huge fan of the 7-speed manual and 991s. So I'd probably pick a 991 PDK because I think it's a good driving option. If I were to pick a stick, I would pick a second gen 997.
Since you
What
guys,
don't you like about what don't you like about the 991.17 speed?
It's vague. The fix would be to put the parts in. I mean, as it came, my favorite 7-speed 991 would be the Carrera T. They really made that thing work well. So I'm assuming if you could put those I've never driven one. If you put those parts into an earlier car, it probably drives a lot better. But the 7-speed just didn't really do much for me.
I drove a 991.1 7-speed, and I think they put like numeric parts, the numeric shifters or something. And it was actually really, really decent. And for people who don't know, the 997, the 991 series cars, they were 7-speed manuals. They were basically the PDK transmission just turned into a manual. So they're really like the gear ratios are the same. In the end, Casey's not wrong. I debate, would I get a manual because I feel like society, the social aspect says you need to drive a manual, or are those cars better as a PDK? Because the PDK in the 991.1 is
let me,
really good.
let me ask you guys a question about that. Sorry, Paul, were you about to?
I would just say, and the PDK and the point twos, meh. I don't
Okay.
care for those at all.
All right. So this is this is a Tim question, and I think I know the answer, but I probably don't. All right. So we have PDK. Let's just ramp this forward to like Dave's car. Okay. And in our little 718 Spider RS. All right, that's got a PDK sport transmission in it, right? So back in the day, and then we'll keep it with the 997 stuff. What would have been the difference? Don't just say gear ratios. It's got to be just about everything between a GT3 with a manual or a PDK and a standard 911. And is it the same types of differences we have now? The difference with you understand what I'm saying? So the standard car versus the GT car, the PDK, what are the differences?
Like a 991.1 PDK in like a Carrera S versus the 991.1 GT3, and I had both of those cars back to back. The 991.1 GT3 is aggressive. That PDK is sharp.
Is it just software? Do you guys know? Do you know?
I don't think it's software. I think they harden the gears. I think they've got it's not straight cut gears.
I'm sure it's all. I mean, I'm not a engineer, but I'm sure it's significantly more robust. And that's honestly the transmission shifting is why I like first generation 991 versus second generation 991 GT3 RS because it feels like a race car.
So they use the the G50 in an upgraded form all the way through the 993s, correct?
I mean the GT. Well, if they ran effectively a G50 derivative transmission in GT3s as well.
Did they
I mean,
really? Wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
but they're run by cables. They're not run by rods.
I was doing a test drive in a Singer with Rob, and he was in the passenger seat, and I was at the transmission I thought was fantastic. And I asked him about it, and he's, very honest. And he goes, "It's a G50 with a Porsche short shift kit."
Yeah.
That was
And by the
it.
way, for the listeners, Rob is the founder of Singer. Is the Rob he's talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Rob.
as one does.
So
Was that
Paul, to get
snobby? I didn't
back
mean
to
for it to be.
No, no, I just joke. Well, people
Paul, to
don't
get
know
yeah.
a lot of who the founder is because he's now so kind of removed from it. But he is a great guy, and I'm so happy that his dream came true.
Can I tell you guys
So
about that
yeah.
experience? I'm sorry, just the listeners might appreciate it. So it was back when he was in Van Nuys. Is that where his original shop was? That was an absolute. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
can't remember if it
where.
was Culver City or Van Nuys. I can't
Or
remember.
it wasn't that far from where TLG is. Anyway, hole in the wall is the best way to describe this place. And he had this little driving road that went up this little mountain range. And the whole time that he was sitting in the passenger seat, and I wasn't driving fast. He wanted me to drive faster. I wanted me to drive faster. When I started to drive faster, the car was understeering everywhere. And I can blame my driving to a certain extent, but it was definitely understeering. But the whole time he was looking for air leaks. You should have seen this guy. He was like, "Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't hear any of it." But he was feeling every freaking possible place and making a mental list for
Yep.
going back and getting it perfect. And he
It,
was fanatical.
just to add to that, I've known Rob Dickinson since the early 2000s when he was just our group and we'd go on these drives to
Yep.
Monterey. And to to your point, we would stop for a break or a gas station, and we were always waiting for Rob because he had his 69S hot rod that was the foundation of this. He was always dicking around with it, which I always joke was because it's his last name is Rob Dickinson. Because we would sit there and he would be taking out like little chrome pieces and fitting them in. He's like, "What do you guys think of that?" And then we do it, and then we'd go the next leg, and he'd be like, "That makes too much noise." So I mean, this is clinical OCD from day one,
All right,
which is
let's go.
fun.
Let's cover two more questions, but let's keep these brief. Sorry, I
Can
kind of
I
moved
can
your.
I just
Yes,
tag
please,
one
of
thing
course.
on to the end of this? I've got a client that was referred to me that I've been looking for a second gen 997 GTS. Wants a manual transmission. I had put out a ton of feelers. I got a number of cars sent to me. All of the good cars that I could find, everybody was asking 150,
Is this
150 plus
you
for
said
9
997?
997 second gen
GTS.
GTS rear drive stick. And they were all 140 to 160. I had one that had like 2 or 3 thousand miles on it that was deep into the ones, just didn't make sense.
I'm curious,
So
why does he want that? What's the special thing about that car?
because it checks a lot of boxes, and that's what the internet tells you is peak,
Bingo.
that right there. So
Wow.
we eventually came back around, and now we're looking for, and I found one that we're vetting currently, but a 997 first gen turbo stick shift, great car, um, storied engine, and a sub 20,000 mile car is a little bit less than that price range, somewhere around there if it's fully dialed. And I think personally that's a better value because
Hold,
I think that's a money in, money out.
hold that
If
for segment four, Casey. Hold that for
Yep.
segment four, because
all right.
you just may have won that segment question. That's awesome. So let me blaze through a couple of these questions because these again have been sitting on the docket for like weeks. I'm thinking about buying a high miles Porsche a 911 GTS, and I don't remember what it was. That has paintwork. Does this matter? High miles GTS paintwork doesn't matter. Dave, what do you think?
How much? I mean, again, it to me it doesn't matter. Not at this point. In most of these cars, the stuff we see all the time doesn't really matter. Now, was there accident damage behind the paintwork? What's the
Just
reason
say,
for the
yeah,
paintwork?
makes sense. Right.
I mean, all that. Somebody drops a rake on the car in the garage and suddenly it needs paintwork. Well, okay, that stuff happens. 50% of the cars are getting paintwork these days. Will it will it hurt the value, depending on what the reason for that paintwork is? Sure, it could, but hopefully you're buying it for a lesser price as well. So that's the key, right? Low in,
Yeah,
low out, I hope.
I think it doesn't matter. But the first question I have is, okay, why do you want to get a GTS? Is it because it is higher mileage and the price is down to where you want? Or if I had out, like going back to what Casey said, if I had a 997.1 turbo and a 997.2 GTS and they were the same price because they were high miles, let's say they were both under 100 grand because they were messed up somewhere, I would take the turbo all day long because I think that's a more interesting experience. And you just got to go to yourself, this is awesome. I'm going to drive this car, and the cost of ownership is just going to be the maintenance I use to keep it going. I'm not going to make money, but like Dave said, it will be money in, money out.
You guys are chomping at the bit to get to segment four. Modern Porsches to consider buying that seem to hit their bottom flat or overlooked. We get this question constantly. So modern Porsches to consider to be, they maybe should consider buying that seemed basically like maybe this is the bottom of what their values are going to be. Casey, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, 2000 to 2004 Boxster S.
I don't think there's a better answer, honestly. Shall we move on? That's
Well, no, I think actually the 986, 987.1.2 Boxer Cayman, all of those, they're not going to get cheaper, especially if
Mhm.
you get something higher miles. And I think, what I've found is Porsche sports cars between 10 and 15 years old, I always equate them to like an adolescent dog. You get a puppy, they're cute, everyone loves them because they're a little puppy. Then they get to the stage where they're just dorky, their feet are too big, their ears are too big, they're too skinny, they haven't filled in, and they're not like cute anymore until they fill out and they're like, "Oh, that's a cool dog." And no one really wants to pet the dog. And that is the 10 to 15 year rule for Porsches especially. And like I said, the mid-engine stuff is cheap. Boy, talk about a fun little rally car. 20 grand sorted, done.
Let us not
100%.
forget the SUVs as well. I mean, and after Mr. McCon over here on his rally and some
Yep.
Cayennes as well. I mean, man, buy a Cayenne diesel. You know me and my Cayenne diesels. I love those darn things. And you can buy those super cheap. I mean, you can literally buy them cheap and they're bulletproof. They're really good vehicles to drive. And
You
I
go
love mine.
overlanding. You can go
Yeah,
overlanding with them.
absolutely. I mean, they're great.
Overlanding. That's one of those romantic things that everyone builds these big fancy rigs for, never uses except to go to freaking Hermes and, get the latest, Twilly.
You
They go
know,
to Air One to get their
you don't want
juice.
sand in your shorts there, Tim. You know, I mean, it's not. You go out to the desert, nah.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to segment four. Casey is taking, oh, he's back. Wow. See, that's the beauty of being your age, Casey. You can pee really, really quick. The older you get, I got bad news for you. It doesn't happen as fast. All
I did
right.
a five cup pot of coffee this morning. Not a good move.
Well, yeah, that too. You'll have more of that as you get older too. All right, segment four, cars you can drive for free in 2026. Um, Okay, this was a amalgamation of several questions. I want a new daily for 2026. My max budget is 85,000. Help me choose one car to be a daily that I can drive for free, all in. And I added this part, frankly, to make it harder on you guys. Insurance, zero depreciation, factor in buying and selling costs as well. They want to own it for 1 year, have absolutely no expense, drive it completely for free, has to be a daily, no more than 85 grand. Paul, you get to go first.
I think that is going to be really, really tough in a year. Maybe if you give it 3 years. I love the fact that Casey and I picked kind of the same thing because Casey, I almost picked what you have, but
I
I
almost
picked.
picked what you have.
Well, remember, we have more listeners than we do viewers, so make sure you
All
guys
right.
are not
We
talking in
both picked
code.
BMWs. I picked the E9 series, E90, E92. This is the late 2000s, 2008 through 2013 M3 or M4, whatever they call it, but the two-door and the four-door. Casey picked the 1 series, the 1M, which just came shortly thereafter. But these cars are so much fun to drive, and I think the four-door, which I didn't really put up there, but the four-door is the hidden value because this is for the person that wants something fun, little vintagey, but they can use daily, take the kids. And these cars, a manual, or is it DCT or DSG? I forget what they call their dual clutch.
DCT would have been the automatic.
The dual clutch, which is, by the way, both of them are very good. I would say the dual clutch is actually better until you modify the manual a little bit. But the funny thing is, these are kind of the younger people who are drawn to them, and so a lot of them don't really care about the manual. So I'm seeing the delta between manual and the dual clutch almost the same. And I don't know if the manual will ever outpace it. But the reality is they're fun to drive. They've been hanging around in the 30s. You can even get the Lime Rock edition, which is the Holy Grail in orange, and like a mid-mile, like a 30 to 50,000 mile Lime Rock is probably hovering with the dual clutch is probably hovering around 50, 60 grand, which to me as the Halo car, the only V8 M3, they sound bitchin'. They're really fun to drive. Jason Camisa just did a whole thing on it on the Haggerty channel that was really made it interesting because at the end of the day, comparing the cars, this one did really well. So I choose that in this one. By the way, this one was on Bring a Trailer. It was a white manual. It had 33,000 miles, really clean car. What do you think it sold for, guys? A two-door M3, 2009, 33,000 mile car. Any ideas what it hammered for?
37 grand.
Tim,
I don't follow them and I don't want to guess.
Dave, do you follow? Do you care?
But I'll guess less than 85
I
grand.
do care, but and I don't follow these as much, but I would say somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah, I mean, Casey and I kind of follow the same stuff. It's hammered for 36,225 5 days ago. Good value.
Seems
What a
like a
value.
great value. That or a new Civic or something close to it.
But at the end of the day,
Casey,
to answer your question, Tim, I think it will in a year from now, you could go add 8,000 miles, and I think it will sell for the same or a little bit more to cover costs. I don't know if it'll cover everything. You might break even on the sale price.
well, okay, so thank you for reeling it back into what the question was. Is that rare enough that has any chance whatsoever of increasing in value or even keeping up with inflation? And if not, then it's going to depreciate. And the question will be that, obviously answered in the negative that you lost money on it. I mean, are those
I
going
don't
up
think
in value?
I don't think the car itself will depreciate. I think I'm not sure how much it will appreciate, but the recent press on these and what's happening is that it's getting pinched. The E46 prices have gone out, have just gone nuts. If this was an E46 M3, which is the generation prior to this, everything being the same, 33,000 miles, this would possibly be a $50,000-$60,000 car. And then the cars what is it? I forget the F8 or the 1Ms, they're already 67. So what's
So
happening is
are those cars selling for more than the E46s, even though they have the V8 and the E46s have the 3.2 with 321
the
horsepower?
E46s are selling for far more, probably 30% more than the V8, the E90s,
That's
E90s.
insane. I find that
So that's
amazing.
that's why I just sit there going, someone's going to wake up and go, I'm not paying 50, 60 grand for an E46 when I can get a V8 for 36 grand. And all of a sudden that 36 grand in a year will go up to maybe 43 grand, which doesn't seem like much, but
Well,
now you're talking
no, then I
15%.
think I think that's a really good choice. And obviously, because given that price delta between those two cars being so substantial, that definitely looks like it's undervalued. Dave, what do you think?
On that car?
No.
Or
What's your choice for
my
85 or
my
less? Go ahead.
okay, the only thing that threw me, I'll be disqualified, I'm sure, here in just a moment, was the fact that the insurance cost had to be factored in here too. And that is like, who the hell knows what the insurance, it could be Casey ripping around and his
It's
insurance
for
factor
you.
could be just
You,
for
In
me.
yeah,
Charlotte,
Charlotte.
Didn't
Okay.
you say that you allegedly went 120 miles an hour
Yes, but I
earlier?
was
I
not
go like,
caught, which is the key thing here.
I
I
get
was
yelled
not
at by my
caught.
wife for driving too slowly.
I
wife,
picked
Wow,
wife,
I would not
wife
admit
swap.
that. Wife swap.
well,
Oh, see,
that has a whole
there,
different
there's there,
connotation. I'm sorry.
there's
Um,
Paul saying wife swap is him showing evidence that he lives in California.
what is okay?
Sorry.
We'll
Keep it
that's a rabbit
going.
hole we're
Keep
not
it
going down.
going.
Go ahead,
I
Dave.
picked I picked a 2016 Cayman GT4. This particular example, 85,000 miles. Excuse me, no, 36,000 miles. It did sell for around $84,000. I think this is as a Porsche goes, if that's the budget, this one hits the numbers. And I think you could drive this car for a year, put the mileage on you're talking about, and probably sell this car for close to what you paid for it a year from now, especially if you bought it at 84. These cars typically a nice one is trading 90s, $100,000. Maybe that's going to cover your insurance costs. This one, the mileage is a little higher, but I still think dollar for dollar, you can't go wrong. If that's 85 grand is your budget, that's the car to have.
And and here's the thing is, Dave, you picked a good car, But the problem is, I think it kind of already jumped the shark. There was about a year ago, that car would have been maybe high 70s. And a year ago, you could have done this equation. I think now the problem is people are realizing these are really interesting cars. They're fun. They didn't make a lot of them. And I think it's going to be really hard to buy one under 100 very soon. Very soon.
Well,
Yeah,
grab them now, and that's the whole point, right? Because then you'll be able to drive it for a year and dump out of it.
Casey, you're up.
16 GT4 is the best of all GT4, GT4 RSs. No question in my mind.
I agree with that.
Um,
Hot take,
so
Casey.
I was going to pick an E90 M3 four-door stick shift. I love those cars in competition spec in silver. Just awesome cars. But my favorite driving modern-ish BMW is a 1M. I think it's awesome. I was so surprised. I've only driven one once by one of my very good prior clients, and it was a fantastic experience. I loved it. The car behind me is like a delivery mile car that EAG sold for over $200,000. That's not that one, but a nice 50, 60,000 mile car is 50, $60,000 all day long, and they've been 50, $60,000 for forever. I don't know if you'll get all the other stuff out of it, but as far as maintenance is concerned, the things like rod bearings and such that scare people about M3s don't plague the turbocharged cars. So I did think it was probably a less labor intensive ownership experience.
Casey,
So
have you
that's
driven
definitely
one?
my go.
Have you driven one of those?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dave, have you driven one?
I have not.
Me
I find them too small, personally.
Paul, have you driven one? Paul, you're muted.
Oh,
There you go.
No,
am I
he's not.
muted?
I
I
hear
hear
him.
him. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
I have a Z3M coupe, and this is the better version. This is I mean, it drives, to me, it's the most 911 driving modern BMW. It drives like
It's
a
a
911.
it's a raw special bulldog, right,
Yep,
Paul?
exactly.
I definitely want to
They're-
drive one. I haven't driven one yet. Dave, you and I will have to do that next time we're together.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it for
So my
sure.
choice is a 2013 Carrera S. I know you guys are going to hit me with the rule book with regards to what these things are actually going for, but we can talk about hem and haul over prices. Look at Paul; he's already on NADA or wherever the hell it's called nowadays, searching for values.
Oh, you're right. You're in
Yeah.
there.
Okay, that would be my choice. I would definitely get a 991, probably point 0.1, 2013 Carrera S in good condition. Obviously, try to get a manual, or I mean, frankly, I think Casey's got me half sold on PDKs at this point. And you could pretty much be, truthfully, I think all of us have great choices, with the least probably likely to increase in value, probably being Paul's. The most likely to increase probably being my Porsche, followed by Casey's, and then followed by Dave's. And then
no,
Paul didn't put in the effort on this one, I'm afraid.
Hey, I
bullshit.
like your choice, Tim. I think your choice is dead on. And if you hadn't picked it, that would have been the one for me. I had a 2013 S manual. I loved that car. I thought that car was fantastic. I sold mine, Jesus, earlier this year, beginning of the year, and I think I sold it for 75 grand. And my car only had 38,000 miles on it. I think that car right now would be 85 for sure, right? I mean, the values on these ones have gone up. I think it's a great looking car. Um, the only downside of those is the door panels peel up on all of them. You got to get that fixed
But
and
there's
do
an
that
easy
here, by the
fix.
way.
Send it to Dave. But
Yeah.
here, Tim, I like your choice. I like your choice, but your choice is actually wrong because it's 6 months too late. Because just what Dave
Told you.
pointed out,
Didn't I tell you guys? Didn't I say he tried to basically hit me with the rule
just
book?
like I said, I really like it, but 6 months ago to 8 months ago, it was 15% less. And it's the other stuff, could be tariffs, could be a bunch of things that are trickling down where it's moving the values of those cars up. I honestly think because my car is so cheap, it gets to the point, it probably is the winner. Casey's is super close because the problem is, and not the premium, the
Okay,
premium
Paul,
1Ms
listen.
have gone up.
All right,
But
we're going to
no,
do some voting, okay? Since I knew you'd take it personally and that was the goal.
yes.
All right, so you cannot vote for your own. Who votes for Paul's? Cannot vote for your
What?
own. Oh, damn. All right.
Damn.
Okay. You cannot vote for your own, so I'm not going to vote. What do you guys think about my choice? Can't vote for your own.
Okay, I forgot we're on radio here.
So
Okay,
Tim,
yes,
Tim
it's
gets
Dave.
one.
Dave is putting his
I got
hand up.
one vote. Paul's
From
got
Dave.
a total of 0. All right, Dave's choice, which is the GT4, and thank you for reminding me that a lot of people listen to us in audio. One
I'm
vote.
raising my hand. I think
Yeah.
Dave's choice is pretty good, especially because they're super reliable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you.
Damn.
We're all going
All
to
right.
vote for one. No winner here. No.
Okay, so who would vote for Casey's? Okay, I would too. I would too. I'd totally vote for Casey's. It's a cool little car.
Because I think
It's kind
Casey,
of ugly. It's got a back seat. It's definitely a cool experience.
but when you look at the equation, I think Casey's will win because the premium level 1Ms have already gone up. But when you look at the kind of the mid level, the 30, 40, 50,000 mile cars, they have, like Casey said, they have been the same price for so long that eventually people are just going to go like that. I want one, and that's what I got to buy. And then the Tims and Daves of the world will go test drive one and blow their mind, and they'll be like, "You're kidding, 50 grand for one of these?" And by the time they actually buy the car, it's going to be 65 grand.
Yep, I agree. All right, segment 5, to rally or not to rally, that is the question. What is a rally? How do you find a local rally or start one? How do you prep your cars? Rally manners. And I know this is Paul's and definitely favorite topic. If you guys don't know Paul Kramer, after he gets done razzling and dazzling you with his Porsche knowledge, I promise you all he's going to talk about is rallying. So with keeping consideration the time and all the rest of it, let's talk about rallying. I'm personally interested in this, and if I had more availability for it, I'd be doing it. I know Dave feels the same way, though. Dave's getting heavily into rallying, and I know Casey said prior to the show today he feels the same way. So explain to us what rallying is. How do we go about finding one? The floor is yours, sir.
I mean, for the average person, I try to leave the word rally out because rally gives in their mind, oh, it's a race. Because there are actual rallies that are time distance stuff, which I personally don't care about. I call them vintage tours or automobile tours where you're going on a drive of a certain amount of days with a group of cars that are similar like-minded cars and people. Some are just Porsche cars, some are 1999 and older cars, some are 75 and older. There's all kinds of various rules, but you're going to see some new roads and new experiences, and some of them are just one-day rallies, some are an overnight. Some of the ones I do are 7 days and 7-night rallies where you get to explore things with your cars, with like-minded people. And then every time you stop, it's like, I call it a rolling Cars and Coffee. Imagine going to Cars and Coffee and then going for a great drive, spending the night and doing it over and over again. And to me, if I used to be a club racer, it is the closest to the highs of club racing I've got in terms of camaraderie and fun without the lows of dealing with a race car.
That's interesting. Dave, so you once said that our Albert Blue RSR was too nice to take on rallies. I never asked you about that, but I remember you said it. So what is the ideal rally car, Dave, since you're into rallying too?
Well, I mean, for me, especially with Porsches, now Paul's, there's many other cars that you can pull into these things, but most of what I do is all kind of Porsche related and specifically air-cooled Porsche related. And I couldn't agree more with Paul that it's so much about just the experience that you're sharing with all these other drivers. It's not a competition per se at all. I guess other than to make sure you get back to the hotel at the end of the day. That's the only competition without
You survived.
having an off somewhere. And I've had a couple of offs, so I know what we're talking about here. But let me just say that it's it's the equivalent of the guys that go away for the 3-day golf weekend. It's just a different experience where, you're all playing the same holes. And at the end of the hole, when you're back at the bar, you're talking about, oh, geez, Johnny with that shot from 80 yards. Instead, you're talking about the curves, the roads, that particular last run that you were just taking up the mountain. And plus, the other piece of the equation is the car itself. How is your car running? What's happening with your car? Is it overheating? Is there something that's engaging differently or not operating quickly? So now you've also got the camaraderie of the guys that are gathered around the back of your car after the night's over, trying to figure out how to get the shifter linkage all back in engaged and, getting out the baling wire and scotch tape to make the thing keep going. It's just a really great experience. It really is. And there's something for everyone in this. It's not just guys that want to drive fast. And Paul calls it a tour, and I'm sure running in a more spirited group. Like let's say, like for me, I'm going to participate in a rally with 75 people, right? All 75 of those people aren't going out at the same time. They may not likely even all be driving the same route. We'll be picking 4 or 5 different routes that have been, or excuse me, 4 or 5 different groups that will then go out on one route this day, and then it flips over to the same route for the other group on the next day. So everybody's driving the same roads, and you're all dealing with the same traffic issues and bitching about the fact that there's slow guys in front of you and so on. But I think the point that I guess I'm trying to make is there's something for everyone here. So if you want to just take a nice slow drive and enjoy the scenery, but enjoy the car, get into it a little bit as you're cornering and turning, run the touring group. If you want to rip it up, then you want to run the fast group.
So I didn't know.
And,
You just taught me a ton of shit that I didn't know. So I appreciate that. So I didn't. The one rally I did when we were in California, they got with a bunch of 911s, and we were of course in a Ferrari. The 911 guys were driving way too dangerously. Truthfully, they were driving like jackasses, driving too fast, not respecting other drivers, driving left to center, just awful behavior. And there wasn't one of them. There was like 10 of them. They're all just basically road racing, which is fast and furious, Anyway, that was the last one I did because there was nobody there to tell these guys to chill. But what you're saying is that in these groups that the rallying's evolved to the point where you can kind of decide what group you're going to run in, which is different than my experience.
Then fall back. If you're going with a group that is going too quickly, then you can fall back and join another group on the next day or at lunch or wherever. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I do. I've done so many different kinds of rallies because Tim, like you, I don't want to experience that. I like to go with people I know and a group that's safe and there's such a wide variety of cars. And when people go, ooh, I don't know I go, who I'm going to drive with. I said, you will find your people. You will be driving. You'll realize the cars that you are driving with drive at the same pace. They want the same things. And that's going to be who you drive with. But at the end of the day, the thing that people don't understand why we do these tours is they buy these really cool vintage cars and these special cars, and they go to Cars and Coffee. But outside of that, it's kind of boring. They're not good street cars. They're not good to use to do daily things. When they do these events, it goes, oh, I have a tool. This is a good thing. This is a conduit to go meet like-minded people, experience new things. And suddenly your 67 short wheelbase that is annoying to drive in LA traffic becomes completely relevant when you're driving in the, using the tool for the right job. And I've gotten to the point, which isn't for everyone, I have 2 different cars because I want different experiences. Sometimes I take my 944. By the way, you can get a 944 for under 20 grand and have an amazing rally car. Sometimes if I know the rally is going to be gnarly and we're going to be going through dirt or rain or puddles or snow, I have another car that is beat to hell and I don't care what happens to it.
That's why Albert, Tim, is not necessarily the car for certain rallies, right? I mean, Albert is a beautiful 72 RSR looking car, beautifully built, beautifully executed. Fun car, would be super fun to drive in the mountains for sure. But you take it out to some of these other ones that Paul goes to, like Texas Hill Country, your car would get beat up pretty badly with some of the rock chips in the roads and some of those kinds of things, driving over cattle.
So what's the ideal rally car though? So like your new GT3 RS is too nice too.
Too new.
Totally.
Too new for most of them and too fast.
So like your brown, what about that brown car? What about the brown car? This one? Yeah. Is that still for sale, by the way?
It is for sale. And
that car's so badass.
Grab this car up because that car is fantastic. This would be a great rally car. Just it's PPF'd already, right? So, and it would be a terrific rally car. It's expensive as a rally car. The car that Casey's got right behind him right here in this picture, which is a late 80s Carrera, would be a fantastic car. Dollar for dollar, that would be a fantastic car. I don't want you to promote that one though too much, Casey, because I like that car. I think I might want to buy it.
Casey,
you can bid on it. 914s are great rally cars.
Hold on, Casey, is that for sale right now?
That's a car that I'm just did all the leak down and stuff on to bring a trailer.
Well, since we're again mostly listeners and not as many viewers, what is it?
It's an 87 Carrera. That the engine stock 1 to 2% leak down across all of it. But the inside and the outside is done to look kind of like an IROC car. So it's got different bumpers on it, some red on it. I think it's got 7s and 9 Fuchs. It's got KWV3 suspension. It's going to be a great car for something like what Dave and Paul are talking about.
Absolutely. That'd be a fantastic car right there.
All right, so next door to it, is that car going to be for sale as well? I'm looking, listeners, at a 996 GT3 RS.
That's the one I drive around all the time.
But that's a real RS, right? It's a 996 GT.
The car on the opposite end of the picture is significantly
RSR.
cooler.
Yeah.
That's technically a 2003 996 RS FIA car. So that's the last car of that. So a 2004, they went to sequential. That was the last year they put a 6-speed manual in that level of car for Porsche. That's one of 20 built. I helped my client procure that car out of England. It was originally delivered to South Africa.
I have a confession for all of you, the three of you morons, because being on this podcast with all of you guys this long, I have slid so far down and discovering all these new things about 911s. I mean, I do my best to keep up with these guys when we're on the show, but the reality of it is I'm asking questions because I want the questions answered because I want to learn more myself. So, just a shout out, just what Casey just said, I could feel the sparks in my brain firing off. Anyway, so Paul, you have a video. Yeah. You have a video, right? Videos from overseas.
Yeah, I mean it. And the thing with the videos,
newsletter. You want?
I don't know if I've done a newsletter, but I should. Maybe on this thing we'll put a link because on my website I've got a thing called Adventures, and it has not only I counted it 70 rally videos. I've recorded 70 for the last 15 years, and what I've heard from people is you watch it and it actually gives you a good flavor of what the experience is like. And you'll see it is a fun social experience where you get to use your car the way it was intended in a safe environment. And it's not a race. It's just a way to do something different. And by the way, I've seen people in their 20s. I've seen people in their 80s. My dad comes along on the rally. I've seen cars that were like, some guy came with a Chevy Sprint Turbo that was like $2,500, all the way to this last rally. We had a guy in a Maserati Bora driving through floods.
I watched that video, Paul. And have you ever driven a Maserati Bora?
No, I've driven a Merrick, but not a Bora.
It is not a good driving experience, and I cannot believe somebody did that in that car. And
maybe that's why they were going so slow. They were one of the slower cars.
Jeez. Okay, so stop for a second. Casey is now teasing all of us with this car he's about to put on Bring a Trailer, and it looks spectacular. Casey, could you cover so they could see it? What do you think that thing's going to? That's beautiful. What is okay? We're looking at that car that Casey thought would be an ideal rally car, a late 80s 911. Okay. I'm not allowed to promote it. So what do you think something like that's worth? What do you guys think?
$1 million.
No one's realistically, I think that car could go for 100 very easily. I mean, having seen some more pictures that Casey sent me as well. The work that was done to build this car and the builder that did it, who's pretty well known, I think certainly on the East Coast. And they what happened was, and Casey, forgive me, I want to spoil the story on the backstory of the car, but this is a case where the guy tried to sell it himself, I think, a couple of years ago, and
So the gentleman listed the car. And he, through TPC Racing that I do a lot of work with, where that picture was taken, they introduced him to me. And, we talk about the value of, being prepared for doing an online auction or selling a car in general. You need to make sure that you do all of the diligence. You need to make sure that you have all of your ducks in the row so you can answer all questions. And he listed the car a while ago. It did not sell. I believe it was on the wrong platform. And there was basically, I have a process. I've got OCD. So for me, it's very important that things are lined up and done correctly. And I think that with the correct photo work, with the correct video work, Mike, the guy that owns TPC, he won the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2006. He's going to do the driving video with, I think, 3 or 4 angles. We're gonna do it right, and that's the level that I want to bring these things to, because I want people to be able to net as much money as they can for their car. And this is an interesting car that, as long as you tell the story correctly, I do believe that it can convey a lot to a larger swath of owners and
The other
make something special.
the other thing about this one that is not the case now is when he went to sell it the first time, it was all stickered up with a martini livery.
Oh,
And
wow.
and that I
Looks
think
so much
really
better
hurt.
now.
It
Yes.
hurt the car for sure. I'm not the only thing, on this particular car, and I think Casey and I talked about this, I would probably change those arrow mirrors back to flag mirrors on the car. And I would I might get rid of the mirrors in black or red and go to black. Might keep the front and rear bumper. And I mean, the interior is pretty Spartan, but it's really sport purpose. It's nicely put together. Six buckets, but no, rear seat delete. A lot of weight taken out of the car, but it's a stock 3.2 with a G50.
Dave,
I mean,
you
those.
love this freaking car. Casey, you
Dave,
No,
got
I
to,
Dave,
do like this car.
I
I mean,
hope Dave bids on it.
holy
yeah.
crap. I mean,
Well,
Dave
Well,
I'm trying to
loves
get
it.
on it before it goes to auction here, Casey.
But
So we know
here's
we're gonna figure it
so
out.
many people call me and they want to build something, and I have to talk them off the ledge and show them a car like Casey's and say like,
Or
no, no,
Dave's.
no, or
Yeah,
Dave's, buy a done thing. It,
100%.
it it's not going to be maybe aesthetically exactly what you want, but that's the fun part of the hobby. You've got a car that you can go use, you can go have fun, and the hard part is pulling the reins in on these people because they want to nest right away. I want to go do this and this and this. I'm like, no, 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 drive it for 6 months. Because what you think you want today, I can guarantee you in 6 months, that is going to be a different thing you want, or it won't be as important. Like, for instance, change the mirrors, paint them black. Maybe 6 months from now, maybe not. So, but get something that is a done car like Casey's because that's the
Well, you
biggest
save,
mistake to
I mean,
make.
just from a practical perspective, whatever that ends up selling for is certainly less than what the dude's got in it, for sure.
For
I
sure.
mean, there's no comparison. That's really solid advice. All right, let's move on to segment 6. This or that, the Uncle Waldo edition. All right, I tried to make this fun. Lucky you, your eccentric, car-obsessed Uncle Waldo has has shuffled off his motor coil and, in true Waldo fashion, left behind something deeply on brand. $1.2 million, specifically earmarked for automotive enjoyment, mechanical enlightenment, and general tomfoolery. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You must spend every penny on the cars. Nothing left over to go straight to your cousin Chester, who will immediately blow it on Pokemon cards, Funko Pops, and whatever. Zoe, my daughter, knew what Funko Pops was. I did not. And whatever, she's the one that told me to put it in. And whatever else people with zero taste collect. Oh, I have to say this. You guys know who Logan Paul is?
No.
None of you do? All right, then I'm not going to tell the story. Uncle
Great.
Logan
Wrap it
Paul
up.
he's the guy who played who boxed against he's a
Oh,
boxer, him and his brother.
not the one who went against
Oh, Logan. Okay, sorry,
Tyson.
Logan Paul,
sorry.
yeah. So
Jake
they're
Paul
neighbors.
and
They live in our
yeah,
community, both of them. They're both really nice guys. But anyway,
yeah.
Logan used to literally walk around with a Pokemon card on a chain, just for what it's worth. All right,
Because he
Uncle
spent a
Waldo.
shit ton of money on it.
That sounds like one of your neighbors, Tim.
It does, and it is. Uncle Waldo, yeah. Uncle Waldo always says cars go to people with imagination. Pokemon cards go to people who peak early in life. So now that you're on the spot, you've got 1.2 million. You've got impeccable taste, obviously. Paul, sorry, not you. And you've got to build the ultimate garage before Chester gets a dime. The key is you only have room for 2 cars. They must be Porsches. What do you buy? What is the strategy? One hero car, restoration projects, this or that. Let's go. Casey's first.
I messed up.
Okay,
I only
Casey's
picked
last. You got
yeah,
time.
well, I'm just going to go with mine anyway. I'm going to pull a Chris Cooper on this one. So for what it's worth, I picked 2 cars. Both of them are $1.2 million because I did really bad in my reading comprehension on my SATs.
You
That's
guys
why I'm
better
a
not
car
change the
salesman.
rules. Don't change the
Yep.
rules.
Car number 1 is a Porsche 964 3.3 liter Turbo S lightweight. You can get a really good one of those for $1.2 million. And my other one, and I picked cars both with speed lines, is a 964 Carrera RS 3.8 liter. You have to get a busted one of these to get it to $1.2 million. But those are my two picks, and I definitely didn't follow the instructions because I'm bad at reading. So
Okay.
there's $2.5 million worth of cars for you. So Uncle Waldo apparently liked me more than he liked you guys.
Except you're now basically sending the money because you didn't follow the rules to your cousin Chester. And
Well,
bro
hopefully
loves you
Chester
for it.
donated it to a dog rescue. So that's all that matters.
Well, I guess full circle. All right, Paul, you're next.
Uh, I wanted Chester to get nothing, so magically I found exactly 1.2 millions. This was obviously we talked about this last episode, the Jerry Seinfeld roof modified 71 that sold for $657,000, which if you put in the fees, it was $664,500. Outside of the, I don't give two craps about the Jerry Seinfeld part, but like a long hood modified by roof back then.
That's
I,
cool.
it's just, I mean, ooh, God, this car is so good. I mean, it's a crazy number, but it's a sun. My first 911 long hood was Gemini Blue, so I love this car. It's close to Gemini Blue. So the second car I chose, which I wanted to go with something more modern as a two-car garage, and like sort of the modern Porsche factory take that's just kind of light your butt hairs on fire crazy is I think a 2018 GT2 RS 991.2 GT2 RS. This one is in yachting blue. It hammered recently for $528,000 on Bring a Trailer. So that's 535,500. Magically, that's exactly 1.2 million. This car, and I have driven one of these up to Good Vibes. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was like bringing a Gatling gun to a pocket knife fight. It was so freaking fast. And on these cars you can set the speedometer to ding when you go like a certain. It was like set at like 85 and it kept on dinging. I was like, "Oh, this is annoying." And I'm trying to drive, so I go into the menu and I just set it for like 120. I'm like 120. And on if you're familiar with this, it was a closed road with a professional driver. It kept dinging on 9 Mile like 8 or 9 times, and I am just going, "What is going on?" So stupid fast, but I'm a sucker for yachting blue. I think yachting blue. Look, I mean, look at that. I
Great
mean,
color.
So your
great
choice
color.
was a yachting, beautiful, gorgeous car, yachting blue GT2 RS, and the other one was
And the other one was the Seinfeld roof
Ooh,
modified 1971 911S factory sunroof with a 2.8 liter twin plug EFI motor flared by roof. I mean, a really true, in my opinion, hot rod in the ethos of Porsche early hot rod days.
all right. Okay, Casey's not done playing. Oh yeah, He's going to bring the game. He's
Well,
going
so I'll go back real quick. So here
to.
you
Okay.
go. 911 GT3 RS 4 liter and this black and red thing that we were talking about earlier. Those are my two picks. All right, Dave, your turn.
oh shit.
It's not
I'm
terrible.
not I'm not sure that I blew the rules as well. I blew the
You
rules
guys
because
have
I didn't
got to
realize
learn
they
to read.
well, I
I've read the
did, but
rules.
I didn't realize they had to both be Porsches. That's really the issue for me. They had to both be
Oh, do they
Porsches, and
both have to be Porsches? I didn't read that either.
I
Yes.
Oh,
They
they
I
do.
must
didn't.
be Porsches. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm screwed. I got one out of two. I'll still go
Okay,
forward anyway. This
you
is
go
the
back. You go back. Work on your second one.
okay.
Okay, so
You go
we're
ahead
gonna
then.
vote. We're gonna vote at the end. I got to be a stickler with the rules. You guys are gonna make your own. It's
Well,
be like
so
herding
Tim, you
cats.
go, you go like Dave corrects his thing, and we'll just see.
Exactly. All
He's
right.
gonna
So
have like a rickshaw or something crazy by
and
Porsche.
Yeah, I
besides,
got
I see
nothing.
what he
I'm
put up
screwed.
first, and I got to take his thunder before he says it. All right.
Go
Yes.
ahead, take it. Go ahead.
A new 911 ST, okay, and a 911R. All right. So both of I think the unicorn limited edition water cooled cars. So that would be for $1.2 million. Yeah, that would be those two. I think would be hard to
I'd
beat.
like
But
to see the receipts on that, Tim, just to be sure. I mean, I understand the ST. I'm not sure about the other car though. Is that gonna hit your number?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
Yeah, no, it'll hit the
he's
number,
there. I'd
yeah,
but
scrap the ST and just keep the R.
yeah.
that's
Well,
like, but
okay.
but the problem with Tim's choices, that's like going to 31 flavors and getting a double scoop of regular vanilla and French vanilla. Kind of
So I
boring.
have, but here's an interesting thing, and I'm going to pull a Casey here. So you got those two choices, or would you rather have, again, I'm not break my own rules, that. So if you
Mm.
guys had to
No.
choose, okay, that is, and let's say what that is, so everyone listening, but people playing at home will know what it is. It is a roof. Could you remind me what the one it is, Paul? Do you remember?
It's an SCR. Let me see. It's a
This is the new.
2022, so it's a modern car, and it is a 2022 roof SCR.
Yep.
It's
You can
in.
buy
It
about
looks like
half of that for $1.2 million.
it's like in linden green or birch green.
I
Uh,
found that as a sale, just for the record. So Dave, if Dave wants to price check me, I did find that as a sale in a European auction that was basically 1.2 million. But I'm just saying
but that was like 2 years ago.
it may have been
That's
about 2 years ago. That's
I
true.
would say today
That's like
that car
Dave
is
picking
closer
that
to
turbo, that
2.2.
993
Oh
Turbo S
God,
for 200
you
grand.
guys are just picking on me
Come
because
on
I
now.
picked on you. All right, but anyway, it is kind of interesting, right? Hypothetically. All right, so you want to redeem yourself, Dave?
No, I'm throwing in. I don't have the time. I can't pull another car.
All right,
It's
no
all
problem.
good. I was taking an ST as well. I also took something else. We won't even discuss that
What's
because
the
it's
other thing? I'll
What's the other
scroll
thing? Now we got
down.
to see it. We got to make
now
fun
the
of
other
you.
thing was Ford GT, '05 Ford GT.
They're cool. They
They're
make a lot of
cool.
good noise.
Yeah, we'll put a Porsche sticker on the hood. You're fine.
Golf
Yeah.
livery. We're done.
Golf livery. No one will know the difference.
All right, do you guys want to get to the next segment of the this, that, or the
Yes.
ass? Okay, you go
Yes.
first, Paul.
All right. So this was. We'll explain it. This was then the other one, sort of the blue collar. Um, I think the budget
Oh, did
was.
I write something for this one too?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
wrote.
two cars less than 40 grand each.
Yeah, this was there was the Uncle Waldo edition, and then there was what the hell
There
did
was
you
the
call it?
what he called the
Um,
nerd edition,
The
I
full
the
believe.
nerd
throttle
Calling
talk
edition.
it
Oh,
average
this or that for
listener
car
edition.
nerds.
but guys, we were supposed to do one or the other. I guess if you want to do both, I'm all in because these are kind of funny. I see what you guys put in. So
Yeah,
Sure.
the other one was I'm trying to find what I wrote. Paul, can you find it and read it?
it just says this or that for the nerds. Choose two cars for less than $40,000 each, this or that. And I actually found, I think, two great choices because what I wanted to
Oh,
dovetail this and we talked about was like, this is the area like, which would you take to a rally? And I want to get your guys' answer. Like, if you were going to go on one of these vintage tours or driving tours, which would you choose? The first one I chose is a 1980 Alfa Romeo Alfetta GTV 5 speed. And the best part is they shoved in a V8 from an Alfa Romeo Montreal, which
Oh,
looks, I mean,
that's
first of
not
all,
going to go anywhere.
yeah, but just look at the interior. Look at that dash. And then look at
It's
this
killer.
Montreal engine squished in there. I mean, the only thing I don't like about it is I think this would look good in red. I think white is sort of a weird color. But have any of you guys, from like looked at 80s or driven on a rally or driven an 80s GTV, the 6-cylinder ones? They handle the transaxle inboard brakes, they handle so good. And they really, really are fun if you make it through the whole day. That's
Right.
the
It
big.
won't make it to lunch though, Paul, is the problem,
But
right?
then
You'll be the
but then
guy
again,
holding everybody else up.
Yeah,
That's the
let's
problem.
motor swap my Alfa Romeo with another Alfa Romeo with more cylinders that's more complicated.
I mean, that Alfa Romeo would be really good to do like a K swap with a Honda VTEC engine. I think it would be fun, seriously. But then I wanted to find something even more sketchy if you'd finish the day. This is a 95 Lotus Esprit S4S. This was the very last year of the four-cylinder, was it 2.2 liter turbo engine. But like this, oh, by the way, the Alfa Romeo, it sold for $27,000 before fees. The 95 Lotus sold for $30,000. And look at how exotic. And by the way, the license plate is just spot on. The license plate says, and by the way, it's North Carolina. It says good chap,
Nice.
good
That's
chap.
awesome.
And I mean, this Magnolia interior. I mean, how to buy a manufactured car that looks so much like a kit car right out of the door. So there's my two choices.
those
I like
rock.
that. I like the Esprit. I think that's a great choice. I think that's pretty sweet. I mean, that's a very exotic car, obviously, and to buy it for that kind of money, that's a sweet little car. It'd be
Agreed.
fun to roll up in that.
Dave, you're next.
Okay, I went more highway cruiser stuff for this particular segment, and this particular car I just thought was wow, what a value here. This is a 2017 11,000 mile S550 coupe, a Benz, and this is one of those cars that not everybody, men of certain age, will certainly like to, enjoy this as a highway cruising car. I just think this is it's an attractive car, some level of reliability. This one with only 11,000 miles was clearly not driven very much and hammered for slightly over the qualification here at 40 grand. However, I'm just going to make it up on the other car. So that's car number one. Car number two, one of my all-time favorites. Now, this particular one, 2000, excuse me, E38, Porsche, excuse me, BMW 7 Series. It's the long wheelbase car, but this car had 36,000 miles on it. I love the color combination on it. I only have the one picture. This car went for 15 grand. I mean, with 36,000 miles, it is the long wheelbase car, but it's got all the other goodies. It's got the M parallels, it's got the sports steering wheel. Interiors were gorgeous. This is just this is BMW at its best with this car. So I just think both of those cars would be really cool to rip around in. This one I liked a lot. I'll
We
have
need to
another
get
one at
we
some
need to
point.
get one of those, and we all need to meet up for Car Week or some other thing, and have that be the full throttle talk cruiser. I mean,
That
those
would
are
be
brilliant.
great.
Yeah, would.
Yep.
Like driving
Booze
a limo.
Cruiser.
Casey,
Real quick, Triumph TR250, the one behind me, I think went just for over 40 grand or maybe just under 40 grand, but it was a good example. So a TR250 is basically a TR4 with a TR6 motor and independent rear suspension. Really cool car. And then the other option would be a 914 in an interesting color. The one behind me is a 72 in willow green, which I think is one of the best colors on the car. I don't think you can go wrong with either option. Both huge sense of occasion. 914 probably would get more looks. I like this 914 a lot because somebody didn't drill the holes in the hood to put a Porsche badge on it. Just a great car.
that is an interesting point. When did Porsche ever sell those with Porsche crest on the hood? So
Never.
every time you see one, that's some fakey do. Wow, I
You
don't know
know,
that.
no, it's not just some fakey dude. Dealers knew we're putting them on there because they had this whole Volkswagen connotation, which not they are all Volkswagen, the
Sure,
four
rightly
cylinders.
so.
Wow,
But
I didn't realize that the hood crests
yeah,
weren't original. Huh. Well, there you go, learning something every day. Okay, so my choices were, and I knew you guys are gonna make fun of this one, and that's the reason I put it up. This roof, what was that? A 2017 Volkswagen Beetle. Oh, did you steal my thunder again, Kramer?
no, I'm putting it up for you, so you can have both of them right at the
All
same
right, there
time.
you go. So both of these cars, the 83 Volkswagen Rabbit GTI Callaway Turbo Stage 2, that one sold for 45. I know I blew it by 5 grand. And this other one, this Roof Style 2002, these were both on BAT. Volkswagen New Beetle Turbo S, 1.8 turbo, blah, blah, blah. I know you guys are both probably, all three of you probably paid attention to both of these. I'm guessing the GTI more so, but those are kind of interesting, fun cars. I mean, the GTI and that one in particular, I thought was fascinating. I think it sold a year ago for $36,000. So the very fact that it sold for more, and that's before, seller fee or buyer fees, is kind of fascinating. And then the other car, which wasn't really a roof. Honestly, there was no roof parts on it. It's just basically packed full of, modern Porsche or modern Volkswagen performance parts. Paul?
I would say what my idea was, which of each person's car would you rally? Which of your car would rally? Or
Oh,
because my whole
goodness.
idea was if I was going to go on a rally, which one of these I would pick? I would probably pick, assuming no mechanical issues, magically they all make it through a rally or a tour, I would choose the Alpha. And so I was thinking, like, what would I do on it that would not, and I was trying to stay away from Porsche and do something different. But what would you take on a rally, Tim? Would you
Between
do
the two
your
Volkswagens, the GTI is too nice. It's honestly basically museum quality, to Dave's point earlier about being it too nice. So I definitely take that roof Beetle and beat the snot out of it. Have you guys ever driven those new Beetles, by the way? Have you ever driven one?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They're pretty awful. Now, I've never
No, but
driven.
but like Matt Crook and some of these guys, they do race series with those new Beetles. I always wondered if you make them spicy, are they kind of
Turbo's pretty
fun?
good.
Okay, so Julie had one that was a cabriolet, all right, and a convertible, where the hell they called it. And that car was so effing slow on the road from Vegas to Southern California. When you're going towards Vegas, you have to go up a hill. I don't remember what that freeway is called, but her car, full all matted, would hit
15.
the 15 or the
15,
5.
15.
Okay, so that car was so underpowered that cars would honk at us thinking that we were driving slow intentionally, and it just was so underpowered. Now, I've never driven a turbo, so I wouldn't know. That was my experience. Yeah. Any event. So that would be my choice. What are we
What would
doing
you
here?
do? What would you do, Casey? Which one would you drive?
Of your two?
Of my two, probably the 914.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What was your other
I
choice?
think
The
the
914 or the
the
what?
TR250. I think
Oh,
the
definitely the
TR250 would be
914.
good around town, but the 914 is probably the better move for a rally.
And Dave's
Totally agree.
carrying all of our luggage on the rally with one of
Well,
his
Dave's
choices.
the only one getting there with his back not basically being fussy. So I'm going to go
Oh,
Yeah.
with
it's okay.
yeah.
I take the E38 for sure if those are my choices for the rally, without a doubt. That's just a great highway cruiser. It's not going to necessarily get me too excited in cornering and so on, but it's a
Mm,
great car.
I
It's
was on
not
a
bad.
I was
I
on a
understand what you're
DWA
saying.
rally and someone brought a sporty, they call them sporty shorties. It's
Sure.
Dave's
Yeah,
with the
the
short
eyes. Yeah.
wheelbase. And on even some second gear stuff, I mean, with the Sportomatic, I think is what they call it. He was hustling that car because even those are still only at that era like 4,200 pounds for a big sedan. They weren't like
Mhm.
today where they're 5,000 pounds. But the
So
Right.
funny thing
Paul,
is, we would get to a stop and his brakes were like on fire. They were just cooking.
Answer your own question. Of your two choices, your Alfa Romeo or your Lotus, which would you choose for a
The
rally?
Alfa Romeo. The Alfa
It's
Romeo. If you've ever driven a GTV in anger, they're like an old GTI. They like to lift their inside rear wheel like they're peeing on a fire hydrant, and they handle so good. Their biggest downside is they usually have underpowered, which this solves that problem. But now you trade, like Casey said, more complicated Italian crap.
Yep.
So, but a V8 in this car, ooh, that would be fun.
Do you guys remember when those Alphas of that generation were being sold? The '80s Alphas with the which one was it that had the beautiful intakes?
Not the Milano. Was it the Milano or the
I think it was.
164?
Yeah, it was crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
so listen, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions for the upcoming Full Throttle Talk, make sure you message us over on Instagram. So we have gone through all of our segments. I think we have broken our record for the longest podcast we've done so far. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But in the meantime, thank you for continuing to, frankly, help us build our Full Throttle Talk community. I'll say it again. Make sure you've subscribed to the newsletter because that's where the party continues after the show. And we're all creating, I think what all of you will agree is really great content on the newsletter. So just go to fullthrottletalk.com, or obviously you can click the link below. So if we do a show next week for Thanksgiving, I'll talk to you guys then. If not, happy Thanksgiving. God bless you guys. Thanks for having fun with us today. See ya. Bye.